Welcome back to the channel. My name is Matthias. Today, we're going to touch on a subject that we already have been working on. It is international recognition, and we're going to use an example that might be a little bit touchy for some people. I wrote a blog on this subject a while back. It went really well, surprisingly, but I did get some pushback from people that were part of this whole situation. So we're going to talk about the example of Argentina's claims over the Malvinas Islands. I'm from Argentina, so that's how I call the islands. Sorry. Many other people might call them the Falkland Islands because they are a overseas British territory, part of the United Kingdom, but obviously my country does not recognize this situation. The history of the claim of the Malvinas/Falkland Islands is fascinating. It's really worth reading. If I have any time, I will make a video on that. Better said, I should make a video about that because geopolitically, I feel like these islands are going to be very important in the very near future. So, as I mentioned, this is a British overseas territory. The people on the islands are British citizens. Or better said, they consider themselves to be British citizens. They have British passports. Now, for Argentina, since we consider the islands part of our territory, the thing is that if a citizen from these islands travels to Argentina, they present their passport to a migratory official. And again, we're talking about a direct flight, which there are direct flights to the islands from Argentina. Every once in a while, there's a political spat and they cancel those flights. But I think at the moment, we do have flights. That aside, that migratory official will not stamp that passport or should not stamp that passport. Because if they do, it's a way of recognizing British sovereignty over the islands. And we consider the people on the islands as Argentine citizens. So I have a pretty interesting example over this. A while back, I used to give residencies to people that would come to Argentina, be it as immigrants, and in some cases, transitory residencies, especially to students, because at least in the city where I live in, there is a pretty big and important public university that people from all across the world come here. One day, I have a young British citizen at the office. She's starting her paperwork. She wants to study here in the country. All her paperwork checks out. Everything's fine. And when I start processing it, the thing is that the system that we have just wouldn't process the paperwork. I didn't understand why. I started to go through it. I check her passport. I didn't see her stamp of entry. And I went to the front page and I realized that her place of birth was on the Falkland Islands. So I explained to the person, look, I can't start your paperwork because we consider you to be an Argentine citizen. She looked at me very perplexed at first. She didn't understand what I was telling her. She was very worried because she needed this paperwork to start her studies here. And I told her, look, there's an office down the street. It's our public registry. I gave them a call. They will process immediately your own Argentine identity. You'll have access to all of our public services, especially education and any type of health services that you need. And she left really happy. And I know this isn't the only case, not every time with students, but I know this has happened before. I know there's a family that comes back and forth from the islands that lives in a small town here next to Córdoba called Agua de Oro. But the thing is, I thought this would be a very interesting example. And the whole subject of the Malvinas/Falkland Islands, I find it to be fascinating. So I'm going to leave this video here. Hope you guys liked it. And just in case for the troll that drove me crazy when I put out that blog, hi, Mr. Falklands.